General advice warning. The content presented in this presentation is intended for informational purposes only and provides general advice only. It does not take into account your personal objectives, financial situation, or specific needs. This information should not be the sole resource when making investment decisions. We strongly recommend you seek the advice of a financial professional.
Hey everyone, welcome to this week's episode of Bulls vs. Bears Global Alpha Edition. My name's Judell, I'm your host today, and this is Richard Nader, as you know.
Good afternoon.
Hey everyone. I'm going to be going through a few things today. Overall, market volatility has come down. Volumes come down as well. And we're just seeing a US market just kind of grind higher, but we'll get into it a bit more today with the power surge due to AI and the rise, continued rise in data centers, P-stock jitters, and markets near record highs. What's going on, Nader? Tell me about it.
So, we saw last week, it was pretty much a continuation of what we spoke about in the previous podcast. We're just seeing the market sort of grind in that upward direction here. We did see volumes sort of start to thin, which we generally do see around the December period. And I think that'll sort of support any upward trajectory with that, limited volume will assist those upward movements like we see traditionally in a Santa rally. We saw a bit of a dip in defense stocks. I think it's really just profit takers coming in with talks of a potential peace agreement. Look, in my understanding of it, I think that, yes, those stocks might come off on the short term. Long term, though, I'd still be in those European defense stocks for the fact that, Germany and all these countries, Poland, have committed to these new spending horizons. I don't think the peace talks with Ukraine will lead to those being done away with. I think it probably will increase the need for that military build-up for if something was to happen again.
Yeah, interesting. I mean, there's always going to be conflict somewhere.
Absolutely.
Europe seems to be on the forefront at the moment. And see how it goes. What's going on here? It's a bit of a mixed map here, Nader.
Look, I think generally you'd say it was up over the week, slightly higher.
Yep.
But a few of the big names there in the negative territory. Google, Microsoft. Well, Google had such a big week the previous week before. I don't think that's really anything off the back of the gains that we saw. I think it was up to 11% the week prior. So, a little 0.6% pullbacks, nothing to be worried about. Same with Microsoft. But
Google's a great business. I've been really liking their business lately. I mean, it's had a little bit of, it's caught a bit of flack due to their kind of lagging in AI, but they've just kind of shown that up recently with their new, what is it called? Banana. I forget what it's called. Something banana. But their new model has just hit it out of the park. Grok is still leading in terms of the AI race at the moment, but Google seems to be really...
We were talking late Friday, myself, JT and Kai, and we were sort of discussing, a lot of people are saying that we're talking to, because, generally the people that we're talking to are in the older demographic. A lot of those people are going back to Google because it has those AI search features now. So they're finding, for general searching and stuff like that, my dad, my mom, people with those demographics, they're going back to Google and using
it. I'm doing it. I'm 26. I'm doing it.
Yeah, absolutely. Even me, it's not like in the old days you have to go through 3 websites and work out which was the most legit. Now you got the AI to do it for you, and it gives you a nice, concise summary at the top of the Google page. So I think that will just drive traffic for them naturally.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Google has kind of replaced or come back to replacing ChatGPT for me. It's, I suppose, a couple clicks away as opposed to a bit more of a longer run to get to ChatGPT. But look, the model's just as good and it's right in the browser. Yeah, I think they're a great business. Despite just AI, they're a great business, obviously.
Agreed. So the earnings this week, it's an interesting week, bit of a mix between different sectors. The main ones that are there for us to be watching are Costco, Broadcom, and Oracle are really the main ones that we'll be looking at. Obviously, there's some other big names there, but in terms of what we're interested in and what sectors we like, that's really our main focus. Obviously, we'll be looking closely at Synopsys. They've had a bit of interest from NVIDIA the last month, so there's been an increase of investment there. It's just a bit of a newer business, which I would, for now, just wait and see.
Is GameStop still a thing? Is that
It,
still? I'm just gonna have a quick look while we're on this.
I
What is?
believe it's trading quite at a lower level than when we initially heard about it in COVID when it ran up. I'm pretty sure they do crypto now. Yeah, so they had all that capital and they've obviously utilized it, and if it works for them,
Yeah, I mean, yeah, whatever floats your boat, I guess. Not particularly my cup of tea. Despite my age, you suspect me to be a big GME holder. No, it's not. It's not quite for me, that one.
it's not a very familiar business here in Australia as well. It's not like we've got GameStop stores or anything like that. So yeah,
I've got the EB games.
yeah,
I'll go long EB games. 100x long EB games. Not financial advice. And we've also got the RBA rate decision. That's pretty huge here.
yeah. So looking like that might be a hold, I believe. We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, the market seems to be pricing in a hike, but that's probably just a bit of hedging. But yeah, we'll see. I think it's nobody really knows at this point. It's up to the RBA. Cool. Okay. So getting into our kind of thesis around the energy sector, and particularly driven around AI data centers. You know, the AI data centers continue to grow, and looking at the numbers, we're experiencing pretty significant growth in the next couple of years. The data centers themselves are modeled to require about 100 to 200% more electricity. So that's just the particular data center. They're burning more electricity. And then on top of that, the growth of these data centers, having more and more of these centers, it's anticipated to add 68 terawatts per year to the US grid. And that is the equivalent of about, for example, like 30% of Spain's total annual electricity consumption, which is pretty huge. So there's obviously a few constraints with that with the grid itself. So there's a lot of grid upgrades happening alongside this growth, but it's massive, more than we've ever seen ever. And as a result of that, we see energy as a fantastic sector to invest in. And just to give a bit of reference, so 1 terawatt hour is the amount of electricity used by about 100,000 average US homes. So when you put that into scale of, we're growing 68 of those per year over the next, 8-10 years, it's a lot of new energy on the grid. And there's going to be some significant investment. There's going to need to be some significant investment into these areas if we're actually going to fulfill that, right? And so we're seeing what type of energy sources are being used. And 40% of that comes from natural gas at the moment. And the real reason for that is it's dispatchable, which means you can turn it off and on, and it's really easy to scale, right?
That's
If you need more
interesting. I
energy-
wouldn't have been aware of that natural gas was the main US supply. I would have thought it would still be coal.
Yeah, well, look, it's 15% according to the stats. And the real reason why natural gas is so popular is because you can turn it off and on. It's really easy to scale, and obviously the level that these data centers are needed to scale, 100%, 200% a year, it's a lot harder to scale coal energy to facilitate that, right? But natural gas isn't the cheapest. Renewables are actually the cheapest. So offshore wind, which we all know that Mr. Trump is not so fond of, but it is actually the cheapest source of energy. But when you do counter in the cost of the need for batteries as well, because wind isn't as consistent as obviously as coal or natural gas, it does bring up the price a bit. But it's still a great competitor in terms of the kind of array of energy that we have. And that makes up 30% of the AI data center grid. And then next up is kind of an emerging one, nuclear. It is carbon free. And it's, quite honestly ideal for AI. But the caveat there is that it's non-dispatchable, right? So you definitely can't turn it off. And you can't, I suppose it does scale quite well because it just provides so much energy. But if you were to actually need to grow the amount, which is unlikely because it does produce so much. It is a bit harder. So it's a little bit just less modular, but once it's there, it's very consistent. And so that's kind of an emerging class. And then coal seems to be a standard amongst legacy plants. So if you're utilizing existing spare energy, that's what you'd be using, but a lot less popular in terms of where things are going, right? But we have some interesting picks in this sector, and we've been doing a lot of research here. So definitely stay tuned and reach out to us if you'd like to hear more about those particular stocks we're looking at in this area. I recommend signing up for Mosaic as well to get a bit of a better insight into what we're looking at there. And we are giving out until the end of the year a 30-day free trial on Mosaic if you would like to have a look at those stock picks. But yeah, that's pretty much it in terms of what we're looking at in this sector. Nader, is there anything you wanted to add here?
Just to sort of double down on what you just said, I believe there will be a global alpha pick coming out in the next couple of weeks that will be playing into this theme at the moment. So if you want to, see what our first recommendation will be on that energy space, please join ASAP so that you can be in line with the global alpha team.
That's right. All right. Well, that's all for this week, guys. And good luck out there in the markets, and Happy New Year, Merry Christmas.
Take care.
See you guys.
Ready to upgrade your investing? Discover Mosaic by MPC Markets for market news, investor education, top stock picks, podcasts, and real-time broker chat. Everything you need, all in one simple app. Sign up now for your 1-month free trial and experience investment content you can understand and actually use